not where we expected to be, and ownership, myself, Coach Nurse, Joel, Paul, Tyrese, our whole roster, we expect more. We really feel for the fans who put their heart and soul into this team, and we know we've let you down. Obviously, biggest factor that was really hard for us to manage was injuries this year. We missed, you need your top horses in this league, and we missed 134 games to our All-Stars. And the next highest team was like 50 games missed from All-Stars. Ownership gave us the resources to make aggressive moves this offseason to put a championship roster around Joel and Tyrese. And sometimes those aggressive moves don't initially work out, but we feel good about that. Those three guys, our three All-Stars, going forward. I have to do a better job putting a supporting cast around them. I think when you go through a season like this, you need to really take a step back, and everyone needs to find a mirror, starting with myself. What could have gone better? What can I do better? And there's quite a few things there. I would say one of those things is I was very focused on finding veteran type players who generally perform very well in the playoffs, and I didn't put enough emphasis on the team getting through the regular season. And so next season for sure, we will be a younger, more dynamic group. Coach Nurse has really done a good job. When you go through a tough time like this, you want to make sure to maximize it, and we feel like we've done that well. Justin Edwards, Jared McCain, Bona, who's had some great minutes here down the stretch, Quentin Grimes, who we got at the trade deadline. These are all guys, in their prime or well before it, into their early parts of their careers, that are going to give us great minutes. It's going to be a much younger, more dynamic group to help us manage through the season. We need to hit the ground running. Another place that I know I needed to be better was just even starting out. Obviously, we didn't have health to start out, but even factoring that in, we need to hit the ground running starting at the beginning next year. And I didn't set the tone well for the group going into the season, so that will be another area we correct. We're going to take, Coach and I are going to take a few days and take a step back and look at front office, medical, strength conditioning, coaching, literally everything. Coach Nurse and myself will be back, but we're going to, with Elton Brand and ownership, assess everything and where we can get better. We owe that to the fans. We owe that to really everyone who cares so much about this team, who stuck with us through this, and I want to thank the fans that have stuck with us. It is amazing the support we get, even in a very tough season like this. I did take some notes, so I just want to make sure I've hit on all the key points. In terms of also taking advantage, we were able to trade for our second round pick at the deadline. That's going to be a tool for us. We've given ourselves, we have 64% odds to have a top pick in this draft. That'll be another tool. If you look forward, if you look at teams that make aggressive moves like us and then have a rough season, most of the time those teams have no draft picks. We have above average draft picks going forward to improve the team for next season. We have a whole set of younger players, a lot of tools at our arsenal to upgrade the team, whereas most teams that go into the season with third best title odds like we did and have a rough year, you you don't have much maneuverability. We feel like we have a lot of maneuverability with our assets going forward and the young players coach developed. What else? Do I have anything else to mention? I did want to mention Quentin Grimes. I think he was a real bright spot. We're excited for him to come back. We've positioned ourselves to bring him back. You know, he had multiple 40-point performances. His defense, we think, really fits well with Tyrese. We think he's a very good fit there. And we think with Joel, Paul, and Tyrese, he's a very good fit. I would say this offseason, besides Elton and myself doing our jobs to get a better roster around Paul, Tyrese, and Joel, it's about health. It's about all three of those guys who, you know, missed all those games, those 134 games I mentioned. You know, Tyrese, I think, is the one. I think he spoke about it. He's got a little more time, but you know, he should be back 100%. Obviously, Paul and Joel also will be back 100%. I think Joel, of the three, has the is going to attack this off season, this rehab. Dr. Glashow, who did the surgery, is very optimistic about his prognosis. We love that, you know, after a lot of work, working with, you know, over 10 doctors, 6 in person who examined him, and a long process to get to the right answer. We feel great that Dr. Glashow was the right answer, and that the surgery went so well. And we like that Dr. Glashow is going to do a lot of the early rehab with Joel in person, and he has a great track record with a lot of great players in this league to have them come back strong. So if everything sets up well, we'll have a younger, more dynamic roster around a healthy Joel, Tyrese, and Paul. I never felt like Coach had, you know, a healthy, literally one game with all three of them. I know they played some games together, but they didn't finish all of them, and even the ones where it was like their first game back. So anyway, it was tough. And I'll end with, sorry, this was my longest preamble. I think it's appropriate given the rough season. You know, for me personally, is obviously the toughest season of my career, and I'll just say, you know, personally, you know, I will spend every waking hour, you know, figuring out how to turn this team around going into next season. And I don't know, Nick, you want to say anything, or we want to go to questions, whichever.
Yeah, again, Daryl said it, you know, very well there, covered a lot of things. I mean, you guys have, most of you have talked to me quite a bit, but, you know, the difficulties of getting any continuity obviously were the big issue, and spent most of the season, you know, kind of looking up at everything. There's only, again, 2 minor runs in the season where you kept holding out hope that if we got a few more guys healthy that we would, you know, turn things around or turn the corner. The run in December, and then there was another segment of, you know, 5 wins in a row somewhere there, again thinking that teams, you know, would get a few more guys healthy and we could make a run and at least get into play in and see what happens from there. But it just never materialized. Again, you've heard me say this over and over. Coaching staff, give them all credit. They you know, the cards were changing rapidly, but we had to keep coaching and working and doing the best we could to at least develop some players. And we hope we did that. You know, you mentioned them. I don't need to re-mention them, but really an opportunity for some of those guys that we probably never would have seen. So we need to make sure we take advantage of that going forward, and that those players continue to grow in their games, grow in their confidence, and grow in the impact they can have, you know, for this organization. So I'll close it there and ask questions.
One second, I want to reward Michael's enthusiasm. And then we'll go to Dan Gelston, and then is that you, Keith, afterwards? Okay, so Michael, Dan, and then Keith.
you've already just the health, so I'll ask about going forward, having the high draft picks now that you have. Does that give you more options now that you didn't have maybe, say, 4 or 5 weeks ago? I would, just for both of you.
Well, we won't know till May 12th, I think, on whether the draft pick will come this year or next year. The draft pick is owed to Oklahoma City. It's just, does it come this year or next year? 64% chance this year. Obviously, that leaves 36% that we'd get it next year if we don't get it this year. So, and yes, and if we do, if we hit the 64% of a top 6 pick, that will definitely give us another tool along with our second round pick or future picks to upgrade this team going into next season.
Is there any concern again that it seems like the future is pinned on, well, if our 2 old, aging veterans who haven't really stayed healthy through the bulk of their career, can they still healthy this year? I mean, is there some concern that you're gonna do this all over again next year?
I would say that, you know, when you look, Joel is, you know, maybe 13 months from scoring 70 in a game. Obviously, a lot has changed. He got, you know, landed on in Golden State, and that's created the, you know, the last many months of him working to get healthy, which he'll continue to do. But, you know, we know he's an MVP level talent when he's healthy. That requires you to be, in my opinion, I think it's fair for people to have the question you have, but in my opinion, when you have an MVP level talent, you need to make aggressive moves to upgrade around that talent in that window, and that's what we did last offseason, and we feel good about it going forward. I think it's such a unique thing to have a player of that caliber. Are we you know, somewhat indexed to talented players who are a little bit more injured? Yes, but that's why we need to have a younger, deeper roster on them, and then, you know, have them healthy going into the playoffs next year.
We'll go
Yeah.
Keith, Gina, and then Kyle.
Okay, Daryl, I guess 2 questions. The first one is, what gives you the confidence? I mean, Joel's only played 58 games in 2 seasons. What gives you the confidence, aside from the doctor, that he is gonna come back and be the player that he used to be, or close to?
Well, I probably can't let you say this aside from the doctor.
I mean,
So,
I'm just saying,
obviously,
you mentioned the doctor.
yeah, I mean, look, I mean, obviously, Coach and I aren't doctors besides, except for his name. But we're not doctors, and, you know, we have to rely on the information they give us to make our decisions, and it's not just one doctor, we're talking about multiple doctors. And, you know, Dr. Glasgow going in, there, you know, with surgery, coming out very optimistic, makes us optimistic.
And I guess the second question is, like, you know, you guys gave him the extension last year, and he was coming off of an injury season. Was there any thought to wait until this summer to pay him, or do you feel like you guys might have pulled the trigger a little bit too quick?
Well, I think with that, you know, Paul, we thought was a very good fit, obviously. We brought him here. He's only here because of he wants to play with the organization, but very specifically with Joel Embiid. And, you know, I think, you know, for us, that was the best plan, to put the best team together. And that's a group decision when you make those decisions. You know, a long way of saying, you know, when you have Paul signed long-term, it's important for your MVP level player to also be signed long-term.
And guess you said it was a group decision, so there was like Stephen A. Smith came out with it, and other people were saying that you basically had to talk the owner into that contract. So is that true, that you had to convince Josh into paying Joel?
I think that's a sort of a lack of understanding of how things work in this league. Like, you know, David, Josh, you know, Elton, Nick, all of us, we're sort of we are a decision-making unit where we're looking for how do we put together the best team to win the championship. There isn't ever any like this person wanted this or that. Like, we have a group discussion and then, you know, make a decision as a group.
Real fast, just to give everybody, so we'll go Gina, Kyle, Tim, and then David Aldridge.
Daryl, just how would you sort of assess Tyrese's season even before the injury? Just obviously a lot was put on his shoulders again this year, just sort of what was your read on this season?
I'll take it briefly, then I think Coach can answer that a little better, having coached him on a day-to-day. But I would say that the thing that really encouraged me is his progress on defense. I know Coach challenged him on that end, and I think he really improved on that area, and it gave me a lot of confidence that he can keep improving on that side of the ball. On offense, I think it was a challenging year, given, he was, sometimes the only, top level talent, all-star level talent out on the floor. And I think that's hard for anyone in this league. So.
Yeah, listen, I think that obviously, if you look down the surface at his numbers, shooting percentages, things are down from a year ago. Would reiterate that. I think he's taken 2 big leaps forward each year defensively. Some of those numbers, I think, were really, if I looked backwards, were really affected late in the year when he was trying to play through. I think he ended like 1 for 22 from 3 or something. So again, that's not gonna help any of those numbers that, don't really mean much sitting here today, right? Thought he was great prior to that. And then he didn't start the year as great. And again, this is more my gut, is that I think he was just kind of wasn't himself. He was just almost so disappointed that we were having the injuries. Like, they were so excited to get out there and see what this team could do, and then those 2 guys kind of weren't there for a large part of that. And I just think he just wasn't kind of his old chipper self, and then he's getting the gauntlet thrown at him defensively, double teamed like crazy, so it was some adjusting to that. Then I thought he fought through that amazing and started playing, really, really great again until the last injury. But I have like 0 worries about him. Like, he's heading this direction, and he's not even close to where he's gonna get to yet.
With that said, what have you prioritized with him as far as off-season, like, these are the things we want you to hone in and work on?
Yeah, I don't think much changes, Gina. I think that, get him healthy. Like, he's gonna need a month probably to get that thing totally, like, not hit or banged or knocked around again. Just get that thing totally strong and healthy. And then again, I just probably will try to keep increasing his range. Like, I think he can get to be one of these guys that, like, you should never like gasp when he pulls up from 35 feet. Sometimes, he can do that. He does it effortlessly. And again, that's just gonna give him more space to play in. And again, I keep saying this, I don't think we saw nearly as much as I thought we'd see this year, is he's got a pretty good package of things to do in between the 3 and the rim, right? That he can go to when the game calls for it, that I think we need to pull out of him a little bit more